Welcome to our in-depth guide on Kubernetes. Today we're exploring two essential resources, ConfigMaps and Secrets. In Kubernetes, ConfigMaps and Secrets allow you to manage configuration data and sensitive information securely, keeping your application configuration clean and safe. Let's start with ConfigMaps. ConfigMaps store configuration data as key value pairs and inject this data into pods as environment variables or configuration files. Here's an example of a config map configuration in YAML. YAML API version, v1 kind config map metadata name my config map data app_env, production log _level, info. Next we have secrets. Secrets store sensitive information, such as passwords and API keys. They are similar to config maps but come with enhanced security features, including base64 encoding and access control. Here's an example of a secret configuration in YAML. YAML API version v1 kind, secret metadata name my secret type, opaque data username ywrta4, ##base64 encoded value of admin password, myzflemu2n2rm #base8 encoded value of 1f2d1e2e67df. Let's see how we can create and use config maps and secrets using practical commands. First, create a config map using the command bash kubectl apply fconfigmap.yaml, then verify it, bash kubectl get config maps. Next, create a secret bash kubectl apply fsecret yaml and verify it, bash kubectl get secrets. You can use config maps to inject configuration data into pods as environment variables or configuration files. Here's how. For using config map as environment variables, YAML API version, v1 kind, pod metadata name config map pod spec containers, command. And for using config map as configuration files, YAML API version, v1 kind, pod metadata name config map pod spec containers, volume mounts volumes, name my config map. You can also use secrets to inject sensitive information into pods. Here's how to use secret as environment variables. YAML API version, v1 kind, pod metadata name, secret pod spec, containers, command. And here's how to use secret as files. YAML API version, v1 kind, pod metadata name, secret pod spec, containers, volume mounts volumes, secret name my secret. Let's talk about best practices for managing config maps and secrets. First, use encryption store secrets in an encrypted format and enable encryption at rest in the Kubernetes cluster. Second, access control. Use Kubernetes role-based access control, RBAC, to limit access to config maps and secrets. Third, segregate.